The new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook Wild Game Recipes for the Grill, Smoker, Campfire, and Camp Stove is out on April 24th and is available for pre-order now. Here is your book for everything that's best cooked or eaten outside, from grilling to open fire cooking to Dutch ovens to smokers to barbecue to backpacking meals to how to pull off the perfect fish fry, with pit stops along the way for lessons about Ice Age cooking methods and the best 5 ways to construct a cooking fire you can be proud of. And of course, we're focusing on wild game and fish here with over 100 recipes, including stuffed venison burgers 3 ways, wild duck with ahi verde sauce, a jerky made with cola, a gin and tonic made with fire-charred lemons, and grilled frog legs made with a sticky sweet sauce. This ain't your normal cookbook, so be prepared to be surprised. Pre-order your copy now. For more info, visit themeateater.com.
Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to another Big Buck Breakdown from the Element Podcast.
Hey there, can I get a name for you, sweet thing? Don't tell me any lies, 'cause I ain't playing no games. Saw you walking down the street just to break your necks, and all I wanna know is, can I see you again?
What's happening, all my woods people? It's a sunshiny day here in Texas, and who knows what kind of day it was when I was talking to our guest today, because we love talking about the weather, and there's no telling. I think actually our guest, Sam Hogan, the last time we talked, or when we talked to him to do this, was prior to our Kansas trip, right?
It was the night before you shot the nameless buck.
Well, no, I'm talking about this time around.
Oh.
For this one.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it was before our Kansas trip. I believe it was a muggy evening.
Possibly.
And there was some rednecks racking some pipes in the background, if I remember right.
Well, we were hoping that he would bring us luck, because the last time we did a Big Buck Breakdown with him last year was the night before I shot Nameless.
It was.
And this year we had no such luck.
Hey, here's the deal, man. That luck isn't going to come into play until we actually publish the episode. Therefore, tomorrow, which is going to play out to be a really good day, that's when the luck's going to start kicking in.
I hope the luck starts bright and early in the morning for me.
Yeah, I think it will.
Because we had a hunt today where we were so close.
Ooh, 40 yards close.
How many close calls have we had, man?
I don't know. I mean, do you want to count like Kansas and Texas and everything?
Between all our hunts, we've had
like over 10 probably.
Calls. Yeah. And we just have
Couple
not been
passes.
able to get it done.
Yeah.
Some passes, but a lot of deals that were like, oh, well, we got him to 70, or...
What about, I got him to 5, but I couldn't get the camera and the bow on him in time.
Exactly.
That happened to me a couple weeks ago, like, it's just crazy how close you can get and not make it happen. I used to think that, like, when people would say, man, I had him at 20, but I just didn't have a shot. I'm like, what are you talking about? But I understand. It does happen, but I do think that, like, you can do things to put yourself in position to make sure that is minimal.
Yeah. And the position that I have put myself in tomorrow is very up close and personal.
Ooh, he ain't going to be at 20.
That's right. We sat this morning, and we're sitting in a real pretty Shumard oak tree that KC loves.
My favorite tree.
Not just this one, but he loves all Shumards.
That's right.
And we, pretty bright and early, had some does come out, and we actually ended up seeing like 5 or 6 does. Well, actually, the first thing we saw was like we were still setting up.
Yeah, we were setting up, and it was gray light, and a buck follows a doe right into where we were at.
Yeah.
Like, what? Well, you saw that doe in the gray light at like 15 yards.
Oh,
He's like, hey, there's a deer. And we're like, well, all right, there she is. My bow is still on the ground on the pull string.
I was putting on a jacket, and I had just finished zipping it up when I heard her and turned around. I was like, how did she not see me put that on? But it was, I guess, dark enough. But
I think we were high enough, too. Like, once they're close and you're that high, like, they're going to have a hard time seeing you.
Right.
So that helped.
Yeah, for sure. She had a little buck behind her that followed her around and came back through a little bit later. And then we had some does come in. And then a little bit later, had 2 does come in. When we first saw them, they were moving kind of slow. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of did this little thing where they crossed this low spot and they were just in a hurry.
They were running, yeah.
I mean, they were pretty much running.
But they had that tail, like, tucked hard.
Yeah.
When I see that tail tucked, like, up inside their legs, you know they're, like, trying to hide that scent.
Yeah. And we were like, man, there's got to be a buck behind her. And so we sat there for like 10 minutes at least.
At least.
And I was like, well, I guess this is a joke. This is Texas hunting, whatever. And it actually just took a little bit longer, and all of a sudden, I don't remember who saw it.
I think you saw him.
Yeah.
But as soon as you said it, I saw, like, there's one specific trail that we could kind of see a pocket through about 60 yards that pretty much every deer this morning took.
Yeah.
Minus those, like, first daylight deer, which they may have taken it as well. We just didn't see them up there. But, yeah, and pretty sure we've seen this buck on camera. Not the target, but a shooter buck for sure. And I think this is a buck that I was going to shoot. But what happened when the deer came in is that we were trying to determine if it was a buck that Tyler has been pursuing for a while, or if it's one that, like, we just found. And we're trying to shuffle the camera back and forth and figure out who's shooting this and that. And then he only makes it to about 40 yards, and we're trying to grunt him, and he will not break trail. No. He stopped, like, for, like, a second one time and looked, and then just, like, nose to the ground again.
He was basically running.
Oh, zigzagging, too, like, just hot. Like, I told Tyler to understand, this is probably the hottest buck that I've seen on public land in Texas.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, man, he was
pretty
getting
neat,
after
dude.
it.
I mean, I think that, well, we rattled at him, and he still didn't even look.
No, we didn't care about that.
He was done. And then we, about 10:15, we think he came back through. We don't know for sure if it was him or not, because neither time did we get a good look at him. And both times he was like 40 yards from us, and we're just in thick stuff. It's hard to see where we're hunting. And anyway, yeah, didn't get a great look at him, and he came, or possibly him, came back through.
And that is kind of what led you to make the decision to make yet another move.
That's right.
With tree stand locations.
So we moved the stand basically to the trail, and the wind that I'm going to be hunting in the morning is very finicky, variable, northerly wind, and I think it's going to be all right, but it's just so hard to tell in there, I think.
Hey, dude, I told you in there, it's a killing tree, man. Like, you're right on them, and
the thing is, they'll be coming from upwind.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If nothing else, when they get downwind of me and smell me, they'll just continue on their path further down, which if they're does, that'll still leave me a good scent trail on the trail that I'm on.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really excited about it. I mean, I'm 5 yards or so from one trail, and then the next trail that we had some does come down, which is right beside it, obviously, is 12 yards or so. And so, I mean,
that's 12 yards from where I was standing on that trail.
Maybe 15, but man,
it's less. It's a 20-yard pin or less, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be basically. I'm in a tiny tree. It's probably like 8 inches in diameter, and I'm going to probably have to stand up and look down the direction that those deer are coming from in the mornings. And just be ready, bow in hand, like you said. And you said it's a killing tree, and that's how I feel, man. Like, it's one of those trees that you just feel good about, and you're gonna get it done, And he's, by the time you see him, he's gonna be 35 yards max,
Max.
You're
probably gonna see him when he pops up out of that low spot,
like
at
15
yes,
yards.
it's gonna be up in your grill.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that, and that's what tomorrow morning kind of looks like for me.
Yeah.
If that happens, then we'll have to do a big buck breakdown of that. But
man, I'm fired up about it.
Today we've got a big buck breakdown with Sam Hogan.
Yeah,
we're excited about it. Sam had a really cool public land hunt for this deer. It's been a while since we did this, but it was like a city draw kind of thing,
so
right?
like it's like one of those hunts that could be kind of overlooked by a lot of people. It's not just like a general WMA or whatever, and it's not a general entry thing. I think he had to put in for this tag, drew the tag, and I think like he says something about, I don't remember if he said this on the podcast or just us talking, but like people walk their dogs and stuff like near where he's hunting and stuff, So
yeah,
kind of a neat, cool little aspect to hunting, like deer are deer no matter where they're at, and that's always what's cool about it, man.
It's also cool and sad
What's
at the
that?
same time is that Sam hung his stand and didn't feel good about it and took his gut feeling up 100 yards to the tree that he killed a buck on.
If we'd have done that today.
I was talking about it this morning. I was like, man, I feel like we need to move up there, but it's so risky just to do that at 8:30 in the morning.
Oh,
and
my
if we'd have
gosh.
done it, that deer would have come right back by us.
I'm going to puke.
But who knows?
On air.
We might not have got a shot. We might not have got a shot. The wind was actually really, like you said, 90 degrees or so different than it was supposed to be. So it was really a tough wind for us. And I don't know that we wouldn't have gotten smelled when he was coming back, you know. But I'm really excited about the morning. And I'm really excited about this podcast with Sam. Real quick, make sure you've got a couple more days here before we call out the winner. So make sure you're following us on Instagram, and we will call the winners of the 4 OnX annual premium memberships.
That's right. Well, that's right. Be ready for that on Thursday. And also, we are publishing some of the day-by-day stuff from the Kansas trip currently. I think day 3 is out right now, right?
Out, just released.
And day 3 is intense. Super intense moment at the end. Actually, super intense day in general.
Yeah.
So make sure that you were following along on that. Like, subscribe, comment on the video if you think something's awesome or if you think we're stupid for doing something, and help us learn how to be better hunters, because we know that our listeners are better hunters than we are, because y'all are killing all the deer and we can't kill nothing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's hard to watch, but we have had some really close calls, and I think that if we continue to kind of stay in the game, I think we're going to end up all right this year.
That's right.
Also, I am looking to possibly buy some trail cameras, so if anybody has a lead on some cheap trail cameras, let me know, because I need some pretty inexpensive ones, and we've kind of been... We have an old one that just doesn't work anymore, and, you know, it's just kind of one of those things where we're starting to dwindle. And
I lost one the other day. That wasn't fun. Yeah. One of the old, the old guard of trail cameras, one I'd had since, I think, 2014.
Dude, we picked up so many shooters on this camera. It's
man.
It's got the juju.
It's like I got to get this thing sent in. It's a Bushnell, and I got to get this thing sent in and fixed just because it's, been so good to me, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, I don't know. I think that there's something, I don't know, maybe there's something to be said about that. Just, you know, you never know what your trail camera is missing, I guess, sometimes, you know. So
well, we know what the trail camera that we had set out today was missing. Yeah. Because it's the trail camera we've picked up some really good deer on, but not a deer one that we saw today got picked up by that camera, or the last time.
The last time we hunted in there. Yeah. So pretty interesting thing there. So if you're not having a whole much on trail camera that makes you want to go out and hunt or whatever, just you might keep in mind that you could be 20 yards off.
That's right.
You know? So,
that's right, man.
Anyway, so
old Sam didn't need a trail camera one to kill his big buck.
That's right. I was going to say, speaking of being 20 yards off, this guy made a short move to kill this deer, and he's going to tell us about it right now. What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right, so now on the phone we have Sam Hogan. He's a good buddy of ours. We've gotten to know Sam over the last few years, and you've probably heard him on, was it episode 5, KC?
I think that's right.
Okay, so he was on episode 5. Anyway, you no longer work with Fourth Arrow, but you're just a good guy to talk to, man, and a buck slayer. And you have done it again, man. Where was this buck killed?
So, thanks for having me on.
Sure, yeah. I don't need the GPS location, by the way. I just the state is fine.
Well, you couldn't hunt it even if I gave you the GPS coordinates. It's actually a county-owned park that it's a lottery system to hunt it, and cool. I put into a couple of them every year. And I was fortunate enough. This was my first time. Admittedly, I had never stepped foot on this property because I didn't think there was a chance of me getting it, because there's a lot of guys that apply. But I got drawn for the first season, and that was that.
Sweet, dude.
Man, that's awesome. So this it's public land, but it's a drawing system, I guess, right?
Correct, yeah.
So the first time you step foot on the property, run us through what you're seeing and how you ended up coming to conclusions that led you to hunt in the spot that you killed this buck.
Oh boy, that is a more loaded question than you think it is. So it was, I had engagements in the morning, and so I didn't get out in the morning hunt. And this time of year, I'm not afraid of them, but going into a property blind, I certainly wanted to step foot on during the afternoon and hunt it in the afternoon so I could at least see what I was hunting. So I got out there around 12:30, 1 o'clock, which is stupid early. And part of the reason I did that is just because it was probably 40-mile-an-hour winds and sleet and rain, just 38 degrees, I think it was. It was cold and wet and frankly pretty miserable. Yeah. And I wanted to get out there before any of these other guys who also got drawn to hunt it got out there. So I didn't want to mess up their stuff, and I just wanted to get a lay of the land. I had never been on that piece, and pulling down this cul-de-sac where you go park, it's like there's people with dogs walking around. It's pretty crazy. And driving down, I noticed immediately to my it would be south. Immediately to my south is a giant clear cut, and it had probably been clear cut probably 10 years ago, and it was just overgrown with autumn olive, a bunch of just junk that made it impenetrable. And so I immediately took note of that and noticed that it was kind of scattered throughout the property. There were pieces of this. So I started walking around, and the more I walked around, the more I realized that there are trails, like dog walking trails and bike trails going absolutely everywhere. So I was like, all right, I got to find a spot kind of away from this stuff, just because it's more for my comfort. I guess I don't want to be seeing people walking by as I'm trying to hunt.
Right, yeah.
So, frankly, because of this downpour, I wasn't seeing a lot of sign as far as tracks, and the wind was blowing a lot of leaves into the scrapes. And, I mean, the only thing that was abundantly clear was there were a ton of acorns everywhere, to the point where, like, you couldn't even pick an oak tree to hunt because there were 60 of them within 100 yards.
Yeah.
It was just an overabundance of acorns.
Yeah.
But I kind of keyed in on some scrapes. So I took notice of what direction the wind was blowing. I cut basically between a house and one of the clear cuts, and made my way around the clear cut, kind of looking at the outside, seeing if I could find any scrape lines and rub lines coming out of it. I ended up getting close to a bunch of bedded deer and realized that I was going to try and hunt this clear cut. So ended up setting up probably 100 yards off of the clear cut, getting all set up, sat there for probably 25 minutes, and just, it's one of those things where I'm sure you guys have had it before. You're like, this just doesn't feel like the right spot. Mm-hmm. It feels, and I'm always kind of battling, like, all right, do I actually move? Like, do I take this gut feeling seriously and move, or do I just quit being a little indecisive kid and just sit here and tough it out and shoot a big buck when it walks by me?
Yeah.
So I was kind of fighting, and I mean, taking down a run and gun set is it probably only takes me about 5 minutes, but it's like a lot of work, and I'm already sweating because I wore too much clothes. I mean, it's a process.
Yeah.
And ultimately, about probably an hour before dark, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. This doesn't feel right at all. This wind is swirling down here. I'm going to pack up and move up, like right up against the clear cut. I want to see the clear cut. So I did that. I moved about 100 yards. And the only tree, because you're not allowed to trim stuff, the only tree is a dead maple. And keep in mind, it's like 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, you know what? We're going to make this dead maple work.
Yeah.
So I get up in it, and naturally it's swaying every which way, to the point where, and this is going to sound stupid, but I did not harness myself in, because if that tree went, I didn't want to go with it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that just triggered a lot of people. But
Calculated risk, right?
Yeah. But anyway, no sooner do I get set up and I'm put an arrow in and kind of get settled in. Probably about 10 minutes after, I see this buck kind of working his way out of the clear cut. Clearly just got up from his bed in there. He was shook off and then kind of walked in. And he's incredibly wary just because of how much wind. So I'm sitting there bracing or getting ready for probably a 20 to 25 yard shot where I think he's going to come in. And at about 55 yards, he takes a sharp right into the oaks. And at this point, I'm like, all right, well, this is it. I practice regularly out to 80, 90 yards. So I'm very confident with 50 yards. And the reason I would ever even shoot that at a deer was, in this case, I didn't think he would hear me because of how heavy and strong the wind was. So I thought my chances of getting a shot off that buck does not react to were pretty high. Mm-hmm. So a 50-yard shot at a seemingly stationary target seemed very, very doable for me. So I started to come to full draw, and I won't mention the name of the release, but I've had it recently where it will not close all the way.
Uh-huh.
So I came to about 5% of my draw, and boom, the arrow just sails about 4 feet away from my tree and falls.
Man.
And this buck has no idea, but he's also walking towards the oaks. He's probably 10 yards away from my last shooting line. So instant panic ensues, and I'm trying to reach for my quiver, grab another arrow, get everything set up, and finally do that, come to full draw. I don't have to grunt stop him because he's sniffing at a scrape. And I drew, he was at 53 yards, and I put I have a slider. I put it at 45 yards and aimed center mass. When I shot, that buck dropped. So I didn't think he was going to move at all. And he dropped, and my arrow went what I thought was right over him. And I was just pissed. I was I was livid more at myself than anything. I was like, that's stupid. Why did I do that? And like, at least I'm glad it didn't hit him and he ran off fine. We're good. Mm-hmm. So I immediately just get down, and I'm like, I know there's half an hour of shooting light left, but I'm just going to get my arrow and get out of here. So I get down, go look. I can't find my arrow anywhere. And I've shot into a bunch of CRP and swamp stuff. And I was like, well, after half an hour, it was getting dark. I said, all right, I'm going to go pack up my stand, come back out, looked for another half an hour for my arrow. Still nothing. And I looked for blood and hair as well, and there's nothing there. So I'm like, well, I missed this deer. I'm cold. I'm miserable. Kind of pissed. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to get out of here, but I want to do my due diligence and kind of at least maybe I'll follow the trail and I'll find the arrow, and maybe I don't know. I don't know what happened. Maybe there's a chance I hit this thing and I find some blood. So I'm walking the trail that he ran off on, and about 50 yards into it, I find just great blood. And
really,
I went from like the lowest of lows to I guess I wasn't at a high yet, because at this point I'm like, all right, I thought I missed this deer, so who knows where I hit it.
Right.
I mean, I was pretty sure it was a clean miss, and I'm like, well, if I hit it, I mean, it's probably like a back strap, because I thought I'd shot over. Mm-hmm. And about 20 yards after that, I find my arrow, and it's got about 12 inches of really good blood on it. And then he obviously knocked it off in some of this thick stuff. And about 15 yards after that, he's piled up.
Oh my goodness!
Man.
What actually happened is I shot him in the heart.
What?
What I thought happened, my arrow did go high. Like it went, that buck dropped, and my arrow, from my perspective, was going over it. What actually happened is, because it was at 53 yards, that buck was back up by the time the arrow got to him.
Huh.
Wow.
So that buck dropped and then was back up. So I shot him as if he hadn't moved an inch, but he had dropped and rebounded by that time. And I listened to your guys' podcast on shot placement, and I can't remember who the guest was on that one, but
Bill Winky, maybe?
all of those things. Yeah. Yep, it was Bill.
Dude, he's so good on that stuff, man.
It almost made me like afraid to shoot deer. I'm like, man, what is going to happen when I shoot this thing? Is it looking at me? Can it hear me? Can it see my arrow? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But all these things are kind of going through my mind, and my lighted knock didn't light up when I shot. So that was another factor in there, that I was quite confident I saw it go high as that deer ducked, but I couldn't exactly follow it as it got out there closer to the deer.
Mm-hmm.
So that deer ducked, got back up, and I hit him like almost too low. Like I hit him right in the heart, but like it was about an inch high of where the white meets the brown.
Yeah. Wow.
And so it was shocking to me that was where I hit that buck, but I was obviously thrilled when I found him. It was like going from the lowest to lows to the highest to highs, in like a matter of 20 minutes. So it was a really cool feeling. I'm super fortunate to have that buck on the ground. I leave for Colorado on Tuesday, so I won't be getting to do a whole lot of whitetail hunting for the rest of this season. So that was a very fortuitous buck.
Yeah. Man, way to stay diligent on that. Like, I feel like most people would have given up pretty quick on a $12 arrow, or whatever it might cost. Yeah. So that's awesome, dude.
I was just going to say, like, I had given up on the arrow rather quickly. I was just at the point where I'm like, I don't want to be leaving a deer here if I did somehow hit it.
Yeah.
Like, I just needed confirmation one way or another. And I was fully expecting negative confirmation, but fortunately it swung the other way for me.
Yeah, man. And that's crazy. So, I know you use the slider, and I'm like you. I like to shoot a long ways, but I've had kind of similar experiences with animals jumping the string and stuff to where I'm kind of scaling my whitetail range back a touch. And then, like, the lighted knock didn't go off for you. Do you think that, I don't know how to really phrase this, but are you going to adjust how much you rely on technology in the future after this experience, or do you think it was just a coincidence and that stuff works good for you most of the time?
This is a conversation I've had with some of my buddies in the past, even on a more fundamental scale, like a rest, like a whisker biscuit.
Yeah, sure.
I love a whisker biscuit. I just love it. It can't fail, can't drop. Nothing really moves on it. I'm a big fan of simplicity. I know we were just talking prior to this podcast about simplicity in life in general, but in hunting, I'm a big fan. So I plan on switching everything back a little bit. I still want to use lighted knocks.
Yeah.
Because in the occasion that they do work, they're awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be in the situation where I'm relying on it, and that goes not as much for lighted knocks, but for arrow rests, and there's 1.5 million gadgets out there that you can buy and try and utilize to your advantage when hunting, and that's just something that I've tried to kind of steer clear of and take it a little simpler, to the point where this year I've found myself leaving my camera at home quite a bit. Like, this was my first buck I think I've ever shot that wasn't filmed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was just kind of a fallback year for me, where I'm like, you know what, I just want to hunt.
Yeah.
For so long, it was do it for this shot or do it for that shot, and I just wanted to go out and, in this situation, learn a new property and see if I could apply my knowledge and have it pay off in the form of an encounter or best case scenario, a buck. So
yeah.
So to answer your question, that's exactly how I feel about technology.
I like the Puritan approach, man. That's cool. So you're saying you're going to go to a self bow next year? Have you got a good tree picked out that you're going to carve it out of? No, I'm kidding.
Well, I have tried the longbow approach, and that did not work for me.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
It was just, they call it a struggle stick for a reason.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, I missed.
100% respect for everybody who does it.
I missed a bull elk at 11 yards with mine in 2013, and pretty much ever since then I've put it down except for the hogs and rabbits. So it's just it kind of bites you in the rear every once in a while. But so I guess kind of going with the technology thing for a little bit, are you going to stick with that slider sight, or are you going to go back to a fixed pin?
See, I've had my fixed pins malfunction more than my sliders.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'll change from my slider.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me personally, I kind of off and on fight target panic a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think most archers actually do. They just don't know it or don't talk about it a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
For me, a slider with a single pin is more simple than a multi-pin. I don't like coming to full draw and then having to count down yardage, like, all right, 20, 30, 40. All right. So for me, if I can do that before I get into my shot sequence, it's a lot more simple for my brain to wrap my head around what I'm doing. I need to shoot this deer using this pin. I'm not trying to figure out what pin I'm using, and then I want to shoot the deer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I shoot a 7-pin sight, which is the exact opposite of what you do. But I've never really thought about it in your way. I've just always thought about a slider being, something you have to fiddle with. But I mean, I guess it does really clear up your sight picture. So I don't know. I've looked at maybe trying to do like a 3-pin slider or something like that, just to, because I do like having the ability to go from 20, 30, 40 at full draw. So, I'd like to be able to do that some. So another story that you reminded me of earlier, so that arrow that doinked off of your release, I don't know if I've told this on the podcast or not. So we're gonna experiment with this now. I also had a release experience that was fun. I wanted to tell you about real quick. I was at an archery shop and had left my release at home and wanted to shoot a triax because I was going to purchase one. And I told them, this is what I have. And they're like, oh, here, this is pretty much the same thing, just the newer version. Well, it wasn't, because it was the kind that you have to engage the trigger, like you have to push it forward to make it lock in place. And my situation was similar to yours, except I flung this demo model triax across the room about 10 yards because my release went off. And I was like, okay, sorry about your $1,200 bow, guys.
So you flung the whole bow?
I flung the bow and the arrow, yes. They went in different directions, actually, so kind of crazy.
Well, which did you have better aim with?
I'd say the bow went further, so I'll go with the
bow. Well, I hear your release story, and if we have time, I will raise you one more.
Let's hear it.
I've got one too.
Okay, we'll keep her going.
Hold on. Let me tell mine first, because it's pretty basic. And yours, I feel like it's going to blow mine out of the water. So, I had the same situation happen where I doinked an arrow they're literally 3 yards out in front of me in 2016 on a shooter buck that kind of came through my shooting lanes pretty quick. And because of that doink, like I didn't end up getting a shot at this buck. Big old buck, man.
And that was your only year to not shoot a buck up there, too,
yeah,
right?
that was the first year I hadn't shot a buck since I was probably 15. So
did you doink did you...
I think
I like that we're using this word so frequently.
I think I
It's pretty technical.
I believe that I brushed the trigger. So it was like my own fault, but I haven't even in practicing, which I practice quite a bit. I had never had that happen, and I just I'm pulling back, and it literally like you said, I got maybe 3% of the way back, and brushed the trigger as I'm pulling, and it just shoots this arrow. It's literally just enough speed to knock the arrow off, off the string. Basically, I was oh my gosh. So,
and that's why you didn't shoot a buck that year. That's why that hurt.
Yeah, I know it, dude. So anyway, tell us this grand story now.
Okay, so I've been to the Archery Trade Association show, I think 3 times now, and the most recent time was not this January 2017. Mm-hmm. And when I was there I was still working at Fourth Arrow at the time, and the guys across the hall were the prime guys, and they're also from Michigan. So I went over and I was like, you know what, the new bow was the Synergy that year, and I wanted to kind of go over there and shoot it for a little bit. And of course, there's 1.5 million people around, and I grabbed one and 28-inch draw, 65, 70 pounds. I can't remember what it was. I draw it, and I did not draw on the target, which is probably not great. I drew kind of over it.
Oh my gosh.
And about this was at peak weight. We're not talking 10% of the way back. We're talking 65, 70% of the way back. And she lets loose and hits this concrete wall at the Archery Trade Association convention.
Oh my
Arrow
gosh.
blows up.
No.
Everybody, it just gets silent. Everybody's looking at me. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Oh, man.
gosh.
People tell stories about you, I bet, to their friends.
Oh no, I'm sure they do. They just don't know me until now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, now they're going to know.
It was me.
That's awesome, dude. That is cool.
Well, it gets a little bit better. So I didn't hit the release, and I knew I didn't hit the release because I'm terrified of doing what I just did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, hey, give me another arrow. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to hold it at the target. I'm going to show you that this release is letting arrows through, whether the D-loop's too thin or whatever the case is. It did it 3 more times in a row.
Wow.
Wow.
So it was actually the release, and I won't mention that release brand, but it's the same release as what I was using this year. So I guess I should have learned at that point.
Yeah, I was thinking, did they sell you too hard at the ATA show or something?
No, they didn't. And the worst part about this whole thing is I turn around and Mr. Levi Morgan himself is standing right there. He's just kind of watching me like, what is this idiot doing?
Amateur.
And it was a little embarrassing. I just kind of tucked tail and made my way back to my
But hey, I mean, it wasn't actually your fault, so no big deal. It's something to laugh about and tell stories on podcast now.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
If I was you, I'd have just been like, yeah, I'm Calvin from Fourth Arrow. I'll see y'all guys later.
Yeah, exactly. Look me up, my phone number.
Yeah,
I got it right here.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. So last time that we did one of these big buck breakdowns, Sam, I am about almost 100% sure that we did it at night, just like we're doing now, pretty late. And then the next morning I got up and I shot a buck.
You
So
did.
that was last year.
Oh, man.
And
So you didn't really want to hear my story. You just wanted...
I just need the luck.
You just wanted the good juju.
You're his rabbit's foot, man. That's
Okay. All right.
I'm going in the morning.
I'll be your rabbit foot any day.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that it plays out for me. Are you going to Colorado for elk, or are you working out there? What's the deal?
No, I'm going on an elk trip. I've never been out, and I'm hoping to have some KC luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I hope you do too, man. I don't know much about the rifle stuff, or I'd give you some pointers. Pretty much just go where the elk are and shoot one, I guess is all I have to tell you.
And then eat it.
Yeah. I wore bright
You
orange.
make it sound real easy.
I'm sorry I do that because it's not, and I'm way more lucky than I am good. I guarantee you that. I did wear bright orange boots this year, and I think it helped. So you might try that. I don't know.
All right.
But, yeah.
Well, I'm actually getting new boots, so
Oh, cool.
I have broken in pair, but I'm bringing another set along because you can't have just one pair of boots.
That's right. That's right, man.
So maybe I'll try the bright orange thing.
There you
We'll
go.
see.
Yeah. Well, Sam, thanks for doing this, man. I mean, most people that come on the show to do something with us, they have something to kind of like sell or promote or whatever, and you're not one of those guys, and you're still just doing it, out of the goodness of your heart, man. So thanks for hopping on the line with us, man, and spending your time this evening doing it.
You make it sound like this. It's this big. It's this big inconvenience to talk to guys about bow hunting.
You'd be surprised, man. Some people don't have time for us hardly, man. They're like, you said this was going to be 5 minutes, right? And I'm like, no, it's like 45 minutes. So
no, it's my own fault if this is 45 minutes. So we'll see what this comes out to.
Yeah. Hey, nobody ever said the word pineapple, so you didn't ramble hardly at all. So
that was my code word, by the way, for everybody listening.
So I'll just go ahead and throw it out there, pineapple.
All right, we'll wrap it up.
That's right. So thanks for doing this, man. Good luck out in Colorado.
Hey, thanks, and hope you shoot a big one tomorrow morning.
Yeah, dude. I'll send you pictures when I do.
Absolutely.
All right, man. We'll
See
talk
you,
to
brother.
You later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Well, cool story. Great buck. Sam's always been a good friend, a nice guy, and a good talk on the phone. I'm just ready to go do my part now.
Oh man, me too. I like. You know what's good about this is I like hearing how excited he gets about this stuff, because like some days, today isn't as bad, but we've had like a kind of bad couple of hunting days, and some bad stuff outside of hunting, but still involved with deer has happened.
Yep.
And I'm kind of rejuvenated a little bit, man.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
actually, let's just talk about it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Yesterday on the way home from church, I found a deer dead in the ditch. That's a deer that I had seen from the stand a lot this year.
Yep.
And he was
talked about him,
yeah,
I think, on the podcast.
I called him cautious, and because he was always whipping his head around all freaked out for no reason. And he was probably the best 2-year-old I've seen in quite a while.
Yeah.
Really tall 2s, decent 3s, and just 5-inch brows.
Yeah.
Really good buck for a 2-year-old. And hate to see that deer get hit. And then
Passed him.
yeah, passed him 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, you had some pretty good encounters. There's actually some videos from the Sweat Equity Permission series. And the property you're hunting is Sweat Equity.
Yeah.
And if you want to see that buck, there's a couple of pretty much I think every video we've done from that property.
No kidding,
just about
he's
has had
there
him in it.
every video. It's kind of crazy,
And he was kind of far from, but not super far,
he's
but
3/4 of a mile
it
from
was
where
when
I
you
usually
start
see
talking
him.
about small roads and small properties and Bermuda pastures.
He was on crossing his 3rd road. He got hit crossing the 3rd road from the property I hunt.
Yeah.
So that's quite a bit of crossing and moving, and it kind of just lets you know it could be encouraging if it wasn't a dead deer. But it's the fact that, man, if you don't have a shooter on your place, something can dang sure show up real quick, especially this month. But I also found out that 2 deer that I've been hunting are now dead from other hunters.
We might have talked about one. I can't remember.
No brows I talked about, and then the Crab 10 is dead as well.
Yeah.
They both got shot by people.
I had
Crab
to break
10,
the news to you on that one.
Yeah, you did.
That was not fun.
Crab 10 was definitely one of my shooters, and I mean, more power to the guy. It's cool that somebody shot him, I guess. But no brows. Was going to get the pass because I thought he was a good 3-year-old, but somebody else shot him, and that's okay too because I'm sure they're happy with him. But anyways,
but
man,
how
it's just
happy?
Yeah, how happy are they? I don't know. I would have liked to see him as a 4, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, and then just other. We talked to a hunter the other day that I think may have killed a deer that we knew.
Yeah.
And,
We've been I don't know. We get to talking and texting a lot of different people, and you start finding out about deer that are dying that you've been pursuing.
And that's just how it goes, right? I mean, there's going to be more deer next year, but sometimes it just feels like, man, everybody's getting it done but you.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you keep after, it's like what you were saying earlier, man. If we still keep getting close, sooner or later it's going to work out.
Yeah.
You don't have a season of close calls. You have a season that has a close call. And then if you continue to pile those close calls on each other, sooner or later you're going to come out with some success.
I mean, I would think so, man. You know, so I don't know. We've
20 yards this morning, man. That was the difference. 20 yards.
I mean, it really was. I mean, if we'd have been 10 or 15 yards in a different tree, we might have had a lane, to shoot at.
Yeah.
I mean, he was close. He was in range. It's just unfortunate, and it's also unfortunate that we're losing. We've seemed like we've lost several deer. Permission property that I've been on has suddenly kind of gone cold, but I'm definitely going to spend some time out there probably later this week, and if nothing else, in hopes of shooting a doe out there. I'm not real sure though, but anyway, it just kind of depends, on how tomorrow goes. But I feel good about tomorrow. I'm excited to go out there, give it a try, and I'm excited to be just point blank up on some deer, because I think that might, if nothing else, that might be what I get to experience tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's there's still hope in the season. It's still, especially here in Texas, we've still got deer that are fired up.
Oh, but like I said, dude, that buck this morning was as rutted up as it gets.
Yeah. I mean, to the point where he wouldn't even listen to anything we were throwing at him. And so I'm excited about the potential of what the rest of the season holds. We may even be sitting here shooting deer while everybody else's season is over.
I know it.
Much,
Yeah. Oh no,
So.
November's over. I don't know what we're gonna do. Right? Like, listen, deer die in December in Texas all the time, fellas.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
So anyway, I'm excited about it, and we've got. Don't forget the Instagram. If you follow us on Instagram, you're in the running for the annual premium membership from OnX. We're giving 4 of those away, and just if you want to keep tabs on what we were doing in Kansas. I think the next hunt in that series, the Rut-Cation series, is kind of a lackluster day. And I don't know, I think we kind of got burnt out that day a little bit and decided not to do a whole lot of interviews and stuff. So there may not be a bunch of explanations and stuff going on if I can actually put that video together. But the day after that was definitely one worth talking about.
Yeah.
So one way or another, here in the next few days, y'all will probably be able to see a pretty interesting encounter we had while we were up there. So anything else that we were wanting to talk about, man?
Man, not too much. Just I think that if more than anything, there are some people, including us, who are getting a touch burnout. It's not a grind. It's enjoyable. We love it. But there are parts of it, especially the only 4 hours a night of sleep, that can really wear on you. And just remember, we do this because it's fun and we enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying it, do something to make sure you do enjoy it.
You and I kind of took the weekend off. Yeah. And I felt a lot better this morning going out, And I feel, and by having a decent hunt and learning from deer, I feel even better about tomorrow, I think. I'll probably be more tired because I have to get up early again. But, I don't know. It's exciting. And you're right, man. If it becomes, and I've talked about this before on several podcasts, but if it starts to become that grind or that drag or drudgery or whatever it might be, then don't let it. I mean, don't make it be that. Go get a nap or sleep in one day. I mean, you're not going to kill him from your bed, but you're also probably going to really hurt your chances and have a self-fulfilling prophecy if you're kind of bad mood and tired and negative.
If you're not keyed up, then and not performing at your best, what's the point in going? Right?
Yeah. So might as well take a little time off. We've been pretty good at eating junk food and making ourselves feel good.
Yeah, that's right, dude. If a couple of Snickers and a Reese's cheer anybody up.
That's right.
On Saturday, speaking of junk food, I decided to take my wife with me, and we just went and sat at this really easy to get to place. I woke her up a touch late, didn't get her in a big hurry that morning. We got out there probably 30 minutes later than what I wanted to. Stopped at the donut shop on the way.
Nice.
bumped a little buck whenever we went in, and you know what? I didn't really care, just because it was like a good time to just enjoy being in the woods, you know, and she had fun, I had fun. Now she's like happy that, you know, I took her to do something in hunting season.
Yeah.
And attitudes are all better all around, man.
Right.
It works out.
That's a good point, man. That's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
Something that I might need to try to figure out how to do sometime
Today's
soon.
my anniversure, so I have to
oh, snap.
I have to go home and make sure that I still am allowed to go hunting more this season.
Well, that
shouldn't be a problem.
Thanks for spending your anniversary with me.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome.
Yep.
Yeah. Happy anniversary, Tyler.
Well, I'm glad you remembered your anniversary.
Me too, dude. I've only had 2 of them now, so I'm sure that somewhere between.
There's a deer right there in the ditch.
Alive?
I think it had CWD.
What is going on?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
That doe, did you see it?
Happy anniversary, though. Anyways, let's go have some more fun, dude.
Yeah.
I can't wait to how your hunt tomorrow goes, dude. I'm going to be cheering you on, possibly from a tree stand closer to my home location. I got to get some work done tomorrow, but I know that you're going to have a great hunt.
Yeah, I think I am too, man. I'm excited to get up in there. Don't forget to tell your wife happy anniversary.
I will.
And remember, this is your element.
Living it.
The new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook Wild Game Recipes for the Grill, Smoker, Campfire, and Camp Stove is out on April 24th and is available for pre-order now. Here is your book for everything that's best cooked or eaten outside. From grilling to open fire cooking to Dutch ovens to smokers to barbecue to backpacking meals to how to pull off the perfect fish fry, with pit stops along the way for lessons about Ice Age cooking methods and the best 5 ways to construct a cooking fire you can be proud of. And of course, we're focusing on wild game and fish here with over 100 recipes, including stuffed venison burgers 3 ways, wild duck with ahi verde sauce, a jerky made with cola, a gin and tonic made with fire-charred lemons, and grilled frog legs made with a sticky sweet sauce. This ain't your normal cookbook, so be prepared to be surprised. Pre-order your copy now. For more info, visit themeateater.com.